Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to watch a short video.
A luxury hotel, condos, and restaurants, just part of an $800 million project a Dallas-based developer wants to bring to Preston Hollow. But neighbors near the southwest corner of Preston Road and Royal Lane say it's simply too tall. David Goins has the update.
And this is the remnant of what was left after the tornado.
And in the nearly 7 years since, Leland Burke has thought about what might fill what the tornado wiped away.
You know, this is a very, very special location.
The Dallas-based developer wants to build up on the southwest corner of the busy Preston Royal intersection, a proposed $800 million development that includes retail, restaurants, a mix of condos and apartments, and a five-star hotel, along with a half-acre of green space.
What we want to build will be here for 150 years.
Which is why nearby neighbors are paying attention. The tallest portion of the project comes in at 299 feet for an area that's zoned for a maximum 54-foot height.
We're never going to see the eastern sky again.
John Tynan is one of several neighbors who formed Preserve Preston Hollow, a neighborhood nonprofit advocating against what having Margaret Chabris says would create a skyscraper in her backyard.
We are for development. We are for something beautiful in that 7-acre space, but we want it to stay within the current zoning of 54 feet.
A meeting Tuesday provides neighbors with their next chance to raise awareness for a zoning case that doesn't yet have a hearing date at Dallas City Hall.
Well, we are listening to the neighbors.
Burke adds the engagement the proposed development has created so far, he believes, will lead to a better project and provide new housing opportunities that don't currently exist along the Preston Royal Corridor.
This is a legacy project for our family and our partners.
In Dallas.
We thank you for being here and braving this very wonderful weather that we're having in North Texas. My name is Cynthia Grubb. I'm a business owner, a Preston Hollow resident, and a member of the Preserve Preston Hollow Coalition. We are grateful to see so many Preston Hollow area neighbors gathered here, as well as any of our officials that have come to join us at this meeting. A couple of housekeeping notes. The restrooms are located behind these two doors, through these side doors, and you just walk all the way around. And a friendly reminder to please silence your phones. Thank you. We plan to put a portion of this presentation on our website for those who are unable to be here at this meeting. To get our program started, I'd like you to know who our coalition members are. Small business owners, retired medical professionals and educators, real estate and marketing experts, a civil engineer, and most importantly, dedicated volunteers. This mix of experience and perspective is exactly what makes our committee so strong. Preserve Preston Hollow is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. We came together not as activists by profession, but as neighbors, people who care deeply about the character, safety, and the long-term future of our community. Each of us brings a different background, but we share a common goal: to ensure that decisions affecting this area are thoughtful, transparent, and in the best interest of the people who live and work here. On the next slide, you'll see the names of our committee members. While we won't read those names out loud, we want you to know that this effort is powered by many dedicated individuals who have given their time and expertise behind the scenes. And speaking of dedication, I'd like to take a moment to recognize those of you who have already stepped up in meaningful ways. If you have canvassed neighborhoods, participated in petition signing events, or delivered yard signs, would you please stand so that we can thank you? Your efforts are what turn concern into action and action into impact. Finally, it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers this evening. All Preston Harlow residents with experience and insight to this issue. You'll hear from Greg Hamill, who is in the commercial real estate business, Doug Hazelbaker, a commercial real estate professional and former Plano Plan Commissioner, and John Tynan, a real estate developer and civic engineer. We appreciate your time, your engagement, and your commitment to this community. Let's begin.
Good evening. I'm Greg Hamill, and we are 40-year residents of Preston Hollow. We want to take a minute here at the beginning just to go through what the committee has accomplished over the last 5 months and to take a look at where things stand with the Preston Royal site. So, to date, we have collected over 2,500 signatures. Those are ink signatures on our petition. We've also distributed over 1,000 yard signs. We've been canvassing neighborhoods. We have been sending out email blasts, and if you are not getting ours, please let us know. We will put you on our email list. We've done direct mail to 2,000 residents in the neighborhood. We've got a website. We have sent out letters. We've had signing events for the petition as well, and we have an active social media presence. We have also been meeting with City Plan Commission members and City Council members, as well as city staff. So, Preston Royal today. All four corners of Preston and Royal are zoned community retail. CR is the designation. CR allows a mix of use, office, retail, other commercial use. The current height limitation in CR is 54 feet. It's important to remember that. Another item or issue that you will hear spoken about is SB 840, Senate Bill 840. It allows for residential and multifamily development in commercially zoned properties throughout the state. More specifically, SB 840 became law on September the 1st. It applies to cities with populations of 150,000 or more, so Dallas qualifies. And it allows multifamily or residential by right. Like I said, in our situation, it's CR, community retail, but it applies to almost any commercial site in the state. It also limits government's authority over the development of that site. And it applies to residential, provided that the residential development is at least 65% residential on that site. Importantly, though, even with SB 840, the height limitation, in this case 54 feet, still applies. SB 840 is important for a number of reasons. Number one, the idea of providing more housing is a good one, but developers can also use this as leverage. If in a case like this, the developer has said that they could build out this site as multifamily. But we see that as them using it as a lever. So who are the developers? Leland Burke is the developer that you've probably heard of. He also has a partner, Greenway Investments, and the owner there is a fellow by the name of Jerry Stuhl. So what is Burke proposing? And you may know that this just changed last Friday. The applicant made a change to the site plan, and that is available to see on Dallas Now if you go to the city's website. But thus far, the tallest building that they're proposing is 25 stories. Another building is 22 stories. Another building is 11 stories. As far as we know, the total square footage hasn't changed. It's 284,000 square feet. That is as of their October 20th presentation. That was the presentation that they made at St. Luke's. That was the first that we had seen that. The uses are multifamily, hotel, condo, office, and retail. And they would have a multi-story underground parking complex. This would require a massive amount of excavation. The site has 3 primary buildings along with 3 shorter buildings along the property line, the south property line. We've got some more detail for you now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Doug Hazelbaker, and I'm a member of Preston Hollow Committee, and I live in Preston Hollow as well. And how many of you were at that meeting on October of last year? Do you remember this building? That's what they showed us for a nanosecond. It was slide 17. They went from 16 to 18 in about a second. So since October, what's been going on? The developer and we've been meeting with the Plan Commission and council members and commissioners and city staff. And what city staff is concerned about is the transition. So how is this going to look when you go from the neighborhood into this? So for the last 6 months or so, they came out with a new plan on Friday night at 4 o'clock. And, okay, let me go back here. So this is a view, we're looking to the south. You can see St. Mark's here. And now this view is looking from the south to the north, where they've talked about some transitioning in here. So this is what the developer wants everyone to see. This is what you'll see. This is at Orchid and Preston Road. This is the old plan, which the tall building was at 325, and the second one was at 240. So after all the many meetings with the staff, they lowered the tall building to 299 feet, and they raised the 240 to 250. So this is what their new plan will look like. And these are 3D aerials that were dropped in from an aerial company. So again, you're at Orchid Lane looking north. And we're going to take you through some various slides here so you can see what it looks like wherever you may live. This is St. Mark's, the old plan. St. Mark's with the new plan. This is the neighborhood immediately south of this development. Again, the 1025 plan. And here's the new plan. This is the northeast corner of Preston and Royal, behind Royal China. So if you're looking to the southwest, you'll see the old plan there and the new plan there. In the aerial, the house disappeared, but that's not a bad thing. This is St. Luke's Church, where we all saw the first presentation, looking south, old plan, new plan. On the other side of the tollway, if at Labello and Corvallis, so you're looking across the tollway right here, there's the old plan, and that new plan looks so much better. Here's at the Dallas North Tollway looking east towards Preston. Again, the old plan and the new plan. So what they're rendering that they put out on Friday night didn't show that 165-foot building. So what they did is they shifted stuff further north to Royal and further east to Preston. If you like to go to DL Max or if you're at the Central Market, when you leave there, you'll see this on the old plan, and that's the new plan. So we also had a drone fly, and that drone hovered at 325 feet, and we're going to look at every direction. So here we're looking to the north, And the thing I want to point out is look at the tall buildings that you see. So you're at LBJ. Here's the eastern view. Again, LBJ, and now we're over at Central. And there's St. Mark's. I bet you they have something to say about how this is going to look. If we look south, we've got Central Expressway and Preston Center, and we could have Preston Center here at Preston and Royal. If you look west, all the tall buildings are over at the I-35 corridor. This is in the northwest view. There's the Winston School, and again, we're looking at LBJ. There are only 4 buildings outside of the Central Business District that are above 325 feet. These are down in Uptown, all multifamily, and then there's City Place, all in an urban setting. This is an important map. This is your signatures. There's 2,500 signatures represented by these dots. What's important about that is we've got the councilman overlaid on this. The average city councilman won by 1,100 votes in the last election. There's 2,500 votes right here. We need this lady to help us. And we're going to be asking all of you to help her help us. This is busy. These are the traffic signals. The green arrows represent what's already there. The Starbucks, Royal, Overdowns. And you probably didn't know this, we learned this a couple weeks ago, the city is going to install a new traffic signal, the Toy Maven signal, that's going to prevent that death trap from crossing Royal into the Central Market parking lot. And the city's going to pay for that. What the developer is proposing is to put a new light here, which for reference would be Mendocino Farms, and then a new light up here on Royal. So if you step back and think about that, that is a lot of lights right there. One of the issues, and we've met with the head of the Dallas Traffic Department, this Preston Road is a state highway, so that requires TxDOT approval. So that's another layer that we have to deal with and the developer has to deal with. And I'm going to show you something here in a second when we get to some more plans. This is the old plan where the buildings were. And since it's a planned development, this is all about height. This has nothing to do with uses. All the uses that he wants, he can do with the current base zoning, with the exception of a hotel, but I think he can get a special use permit to do that. But with a PD, there's no residential proximity slope, 0. That's why he's pushing those buildings to build a legacy for his family and his partners, as he just said in that video. Here is the new plan that they submitted Friday night at 4 o'clock is when we got it. And this is a height zone model. And so the way I would refer to this is steps. If you think you're going up steps, the first is 54 feet, then you step up to 190, 250, 299, and then 165. They don't show any buildings here, but that's a restaurant village, is what they call it, at a 45-foot height. And it looks like now they've transitioned the main road, the main driveway out to Royal, as opposed to going to Preston. And we're meeting with the developer on Friday, so we'll have better answers to all this. But the other important, everything is below grade parking. They'll be digging the world's biggest hole there for a long time. And if you've experienced that, where's the trucks going to come out? There'll be lanes closed on Preston, on Royal. They're going to have to move a lot through that. This is a graphic that shows what a typical residential proximity slope is. So if this is a home, it's on a 1-to-3 ratio, so you're not able to see what's high. This is what's going to be at the property. So where your house is on a normal 1-to-3 residential proximity slope, their building will be 200 and some odd feet above that residential slope. You'll be able to see that all over the place. Here is the residential line that they referred to, and now they're stepping it up. And it's very complicated. They've gone back in different lines to do that, but you don't see the 165-foot building right there. And that's what it will look like in the neighborhood again. This is the zoning map. This is their zoning request. So it juts out a little bit to Preston Road. It didn't do that initially, and that was changed, and we think to get the signal access that was in there. This is the notification map. This may be the most important thing you see here tonight. There's a 500-foot radius, and every one of these homeowners, lot owners in here is going to get a chance to vote on this, and your vote is very important. And we'll get on that, more will come out later, but that's not immediate right now until the zoning case is actually scheduled. But it's very important it's in here. St. Mark's is in here, picked up 2 lots on Orchid, but pretty much everyone south, all the condominiums, and a lot of the commercial properties that are in and around. As Greg mentioned, all 4 corners at Preston and Royal are zoned community retail. And when we meet the staff and the commissioners and the councilmen, everyone says there is no such thing as precedent zoning in Dallas. Right? If one guy gets it, that doesn't mean the other guy's going to get it. We do know there's precedent developers, though. Every intersection at Preston and Forest is commercial retail. We dropped in the developer's request at Preston and Forest on all 4 corners, and that's what it'll look like. So what do we want to see? When we've met with people, this is Preston Hollow Village at Walnut Hill and Central, where the Trader Joe's is. That is in a PD as well. And that PD has a 60-foot height limit next to the residential, and then it grows in height as you go over towards Central. But that's a regional site. It's not a suburban site like Preston and Royal. So here's some various pictures of 60-foot height product. And I'm just going to flip through these. You'll get the point here. Here is a 60-foot multifamily with the residential to the west. Again, the multifamily. The buffer between the residence and the development. You have all probably seen that the city of Dallas is broke. It's been in the paper all the time, and they need money. And how do you think they're going to get money other than our residential property taxes? They need to grow their taxable value on commercial properties. So where is our representatives in this right now? The property in question is 7 acres and it's on the tax roll for $9 million. Preston Hollow Village, with what's there today, not a lot of the office that goes further to the east, is on for $208 million. So you could interpolate with a normal development with heights that are acceptable could be $250 to $300 million. One thing that I've learned about the city of Dallas is it's a win-lose. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And this should be a win-win for everybody. The developer should win, the city should win, and we should certainly win with something that we want to see there. So our goal is we want to see this developed. with the mix of uses that he's proposed, with a concentration on that 54-foot height limit.
Great. Thanks, Doug. My name is John Tynan, and I live at the condos at 5800 Royal. As I've gotten to know many of you the last few months as a result of this project, which is one positive thing, one thing that moved me is that you all care about your families and your homes and the neighborhood and Preston Hollow. It's interesting that Preston Hollow has the highest propensity of voters of any community in the city of Dallas. You care and you're active as you're here tonight. We also, here in Preston Hollow, we send the most tax dollars downtown than any community in the city of Dallas. So you're an important voice, and so keep up the good work, and your voice will be heard. So tonight we're talking about the rezoning of this sliver. It's really a tight site. It's not on the whole corner of Preston and Royal. It's between two neighborhoods and existing office buildings. And so it's shoehorned in, and now they're trying to force this zoning change from CR to PD. CR, community retail, to planned development district. Now, community retail, I think that's a fantastic name. It's cute. It's our corner store that we all go to. And I'm willing to bet that in the last week, or maybe even today, each and every one of you visited our corner stores that are community retail. And it's like, honey, I'm gonna go up to the post office, I'll be right back. Well, that's great, dear. Could you stop at Tom Thumb and pick up some milk and eggs? And oh, and by the way, could you also go over to City Market and get me that little chocolate cake and drop that off at Firehouse 41, because the guys love that. That's our community store, and that's what community retail is all about. It anchors our neighborhood, and it's one of the things that make Preston Hollow great and gives us the stability and gives us those high propensity voters that care, and the taxes that we send downtown. And what got us here in terms of that zoning, it took decades. And it started actually 100 years ago, and then matured after World War II, but really got codified into law 50 years ago with community zoning, community retail. And to change zoning is a big deal. And because it's law, and it has to be approved by city council. So to get there, it takes a lot of work, and it's not by right. So staff and our council members and Gay Willis and her fellow council members, they're going to look at a number of, excuse me? Oh, sorry. Okay. Duke, right? Okay, great. So they're going to be looking at a number of factors to make this important decision to change from community retail to planned development. First of all, they're going to ask this question: does the current zoning work? Does it work? And again, it already allows, as Doug mentioned, it already allows all the uses that the developers want anyway. And so it works, and it does have the 54-foot height limit. And that is not failing. That height limit is not failing us. It's not failing Preston Hollow. Now, one of the most important questions that they're going to ask themselves is, we never ever disturb a stable neighborhood. That's rule number one. You would never take that chance to disturb something that's working, that's paying the most taxes that are going downtown as a community by disturbing that stable neighborhood. And so you don't want to disturb that stable tax base. The next, they're going to look at the impacts of the proposed project. And so one of the things that I was talking with my neighbor Dan, the architect, and who lives on Orchard, and his comment was that they're going to be looking in my backyard. But what's interesting is that in CR zoning, as it stands right now, the law expressly prohibits balconies and openings facing residential neighborhoods above the residential proximity slope that Doug was showing you. And that's a rule that a tower scale development can't solve. So, and if you noticed, if you looked at any of the current community retail buildings that exist now, none of them are overlooking your balconies, and so you do have that protection in CR zoning. So a planned development district does not automatically eliminate that requirement for that protection unless the PD ordinance expressly changes or waives that right. So when they go into city council to try to get the PD rezone, they have to specifically change that requirement that none of those balconies can overlook your backyard. So we need to pay attention to that. The other problem with the scale of this project being so massive, as Doug was showing on the visuals, that we can never mitigate it. It's permanent. It is what it is. It can never be mitigated. Usually when you look at impacts to a project, you can look at, well, we can do this or that to mitigate the impact. We can never mitigate it. It's there forever. The other thing that's interesting from the slides that Doug was showing us is that many of us are going to get a daily solar eclipse. And it's going to rotate all the way around, all the way over past the library on Royal. And then it's going to circle down as the sun rises. It's going to circle all the way around at the end of the day over to St. Mark. So you can be able to set your watch on that solar eclipse every day for the rest of our lives. And then, as I noted last night on the news, that those of us who are at 5800 Royal, we're never going to see the eastern sky again. And those of you who over at Orchid, you're never going to see the northern sky again. It's blocked. So those things can never be mitigated. So we need to keep that in mind. The next question, the fourth question that they're going to ask is, does the scale transition make sense? So good planning sets up stepped heights as you are approaching the homes. And of course, they fail that because you have this drastic going from typically two-story homes to these massive buildings. The next question they're going to ask is, do the benefits clearly exceed the impacts? In this case, for the developers, their benefit is developer upside. Whereas we have the impacts as it relates to height, traffic, schools, emergency service, water, storm, and so the impacts are felt way beyond any potential benefits that they can offer. The next question they're going to ask is, can the improvements, are they allowed today? And as Doug mentioned, they are. They can do it now. Everything they want, they can do it now. They just can't exceed the 54 feet. Then, the next point they're going to ask themselves, does the community support this plan? I'll leave it at that. The next thing they're going to ask is that we need, by tradition, avoid spot zoning. And planned development is spot zone. It's out of character. It doesn't fit with any plan that was that the city of Dallas has, and which now goes to the latest comprehensive plan that the city has just put into place back in September of '24, and just got amended last month, right, Nancy? In March. And that's called Forward Dallas 2. And so what Forward Dallas 2 is that for about 5 years ago, the city staff and the city council directed them to plan a okay, sorry. Sorry. So this Forward Dallas, they spent $5 million. They had over 20 planning meetings, and they came up with this new plan that is to guide the city of Dallas. And one of the two important points that they made in there is that one, planned developments should be the exception, not the rule. We shouldn't plan by planned development, and that spot zoning is a big no-no, and we can't move forward with that. And Margaret, I will end.
Thank you, John. So, this was the slide about Forward Dallas. So what are our goals? We have 5 immediate goals. We have been in the process of raising awareness, as you've heard, educating neighbors, of reaching out to the broader community. We want to seek involvement. We would appreciate you talking about this to your neighbors, We continue to gather signatures. We are advocates for predictable development, manageable, predictable development. And we would like you to help us persuade the city to deny this request. We've had thus far 11 meetings with City Plan Commission members and 3 City Council members. And we have had 2 meetings with staff. So, what do we want from Gay Willis? Well, we want her to be our advocate. We told her that when we met with her. That is really the heart of what we want. And we have tried to impress that upon her every opportunity we've had. So this is what she has stated. She has said that at the end of the day, we return to the core of our lives, our families, our homes, and our neighborhoods. That's what I start with, neighborhood first. She's also said that she will represent us in every single vote to keep our neighborhoods first. So all we're doing is we're asking her to live up to that standard. Now, if you want to know what neighborhood first looks like, how about this? So we've got precinct chairs, Marsha Gordon and Diane Benjamin, Democrat and Republican. And they are opposed to this planned zoning change. This is what neighborhood first looks like. It's not red, it's not blue, it's simply common sense. You may also be interested in what the developer has said. Leland Burke has a quote here. The first quote is regarding the soccer field at Ursuline Academy, where they put up soccer lights. He has said, "I'm first and foremost a neighborhood advocate. I'm in favor of compromise. I believe that constructing a field with no lights is the best compromise." Of course, with these buildings he builds at those heights, I imagine they're going to have lights on them, don't you? So he's also said when he was running for office, "I'll focus on what's good for our neighbors." And he's also said we want to maintain the quality and character of neighborhood and to defend the residential character of these neighborhoods at City Hall and in court. And then, as you saw in the video just at the beginning of our program, that he said he is listening to neighbors and that this is going to be a legacy project for his family and partners. I guess the question is, should that legacy be a legacy that forever hurts the neighborhood? So, what does the time frame look like? Currently, staff is wrapping up their evaluation of the proposed zoning change. We believe that the City Plan Commission will get a hearing and get to vote on this item probably sometime in May. And if that's the case, then this may go to the City Council sometime in June. So, what do we need to do? We need to take action. We need to be involved. When you leave this room, you need to make a commitment to working with us on this process. Sign the petition if you haven't already done so. Canvass a street. It's easy to do. We'll give you blank forms of petition. It's a great way to meet your neighbors. Again, raise awareness. That's critically important. If you want a yard sign, we've got those. We will give those to you. Write local officials. So write City Council, City Plan Commission, and let them know what you think. We also need to show up. We need to show up at meetings, whether that's City Plan, whether that's City Council, and also at the upcoming meeting that Gay Willis recently advertised that will be at St. Luke's on May the 18th. We also would ask you to donate if you're so inclined. So this is the information about Gabe Willis's meeting. We all need to be there. They are asking for RSVP. It's a community meeting. I'm not sure why, but they are. One thing I'd say about this process, everyone involved in the process deserves courtesy and respect. In our communications, in public meetings, whether it's city council, CPC members, who are volunteers, by the way, and staff. Number one, because it's the right thing to do. And number two is because we don't want to give Leland Burke's team sound bites. I think if you were at the October meeting and you heard what was said, I thought it was all very much within the lines, but those sound bites can be spun. So we don't want to give them an opportunity to talk about those angry Preston Hollow residents. We don't want to be called NIMBYs. So let's keep that in mind when we communicate and when we speak publicly. At the same time, we want to be direct in our arguments, and we want to be heard. Our opinions need to be respected as well. I mean, we're residents, we're voters, and we're taxpayers, and 2,000 voices should count more than one developer's voice. And now we're going to take a few minutes for questions.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's give them a round of applause. As we wrap up the presentation portion of this evening, it's now time for your questions. To keep this process smooth and organized, we've asked that questions be submitted on a 3x5 card that was available at the sign-in tables. If you have a card ready, please go ahead and hold up your hand, and we'll have one of our volunteers come by and pick up your question. Yes, please hold them up high so we can see you. One of our volunteers will come by to collect it. We'll group the questions by topic and have our speakers address as many as we can. While we collect your cards, we'll start with a few questions submitted through our email account. Before we move on to Q&A, I want to briefly touch on something very important, how you can help sustain this effort, much what Greg was sharing with you. This is a community-driven initiative, and there are real costs associated with keeping everyone informed and engaged. Your support helps fund printing, yard signs, direct mail, educational materials, as well as our website and social media outreach, even pay for renting this church hall. We run on a limited budget. We may need to engage professionals to analyze facts and findings, or where we can stand legally so we can ensure that our advocacy is informed, credible, and effective. If you're able to contribute, please do so, whether online through Venmo, by check to our post office box, or good old hard cash will work just fine. And to those who have already contributed, please know how much we really appreciate your generosity and your support.
So here's a question. Who cares what these buildings are going to look like? Does anybody care? Well, guess what? You have no say at this point. They can zone this, and whatever opinion you may have at the building will come when they pull a building permit. So just think about that. They can get all this density without any approval. What's it going to happen to the infrastructure? What's the building going to look like? What's the shadowing going to look like? What the shade's going to look like? Is there enough infrastructure to handle that? They can get this approved without the traffic signals at all this density. It's kind of backwards. So there's a lot of questions about the buildings, and unfortunately, you can't answer those until the next step. That's why this zoning is so important to be heard right now. This is a land use issue, and the staff will keep telling you that. When you ask those questions, and we have, it doesn't matter. That goes on to the next department. So think about that. We could be fighting this thing for a long time.
Oh, thanks, Doug. There's a couple questions in regards to the construction. One is, what is the possibility of the development failing and we end up with a big hole in the ground? That's a possibility. I don't have an answer for that. The city council would have to impose a completion bond from the developer to make sure that that doesn't happen. How long will the construction last? I would guess about 30 months to 36 months. And then there's another question about the dump trucks and how many and how long. This is the construction impacts in that short-term period. It's going to be hell. They're going to have to excavate down and to build the underground parking. And that is about 10,000 dump truck loads of material that has to get hauled off site. And so 10,000 trucks, it's going to take about 6 months. That's 100 trucks a day that are going to be going out on Royal. If you thought it was bad today, visualize that. And then the other problem is the noise for all the shoring. That it's going to be sheet piles and that noise is going to be significant. You have tower cranes, et cetera. So, yeah. Yeah, staging and staging the trucks. There'll be flagmen out there stopping traffic on Royal. And then you have Fire Station 41 right there. It's going to be a mess.
A couple of questions. One question is, please summarize your meetings to date with City Council and City Plan Commission officials. Just generally, we very much appreciate them taking time, and they have all been responsive, the ones that we have spoken with. I'd say it's sort of a mixed bag. We have had some CPC officials who, like us, look at this proposed development and think it's nuts. And we have others who think it's a great project, just like it is. So we're continuing to have conversations with them. We're trying to meet with every CPC official, and we're going to try and meet with every city council representative as well. Question about what does Gay Willis say, what is her stance? We can find out on May the 18th. So show up, we'll ask the question, and we'll see what her opinion is. And then last, a question about St. Mark's. If you are a St. Mark's parent, please be involved, get involved, because what St. Mark's has to say, their position on this is very important. So we will wait for them to come out with an official position when they're ready to do so.
Question about the impact on the increase of traffic. That's a good question. So Friday night at 4 o'clock, the developer released their traffic impact analysis, their traffic study. It's absolutely huge, and we've not looked at it. Something tells me it's going to be very much in their favor, right? And that's where we're probably going to have to get the help of another traffic company to help us understand that and put a little bit different perspective. One thing that we talked with the traffic, David Navarez at the city, there's only 2 north-south streets, Preston and Hillcrest. And with this traffic coming on, it's going to be on Thackeray, Edgemere, and Tibbs as people are cutting through. And they're cutting through right now because of the construction at Royal and Hillcrest. That's going to put a lot more pressure on everything that occurs at St. Mark's, all those kids going to school as they go in and around there. So that we're on top of the traffic, and that's where your donations will help. There's a QR code that we have, if you would be so kind to help with that. Question about the fire station. Facing challenges getting through gridlock on Royal. Well, we've done a little bit of research on that, and there's currently not a ladder truck at this, and there's supposed to be one in a certain proximity to some of these developments, and then there's the travel time of the fire truck. And right now, I think it's supposed to be under 6 minutes, and there's estimates if something were to happen, it would be 10 minutes to do that. But we're on top of that, and we're trying to get some more information from some of the professionals about that. What is staff's opinion? Okay, that's a very good question. And I have to be politically correct here. So the staff is being pushed right now for development. They need tax dollars. So there's different agendas going on with everyone that we meet with, and you don't know where those align. That's why we need Gay Willis to be an advocate for this and help kind of calm this thing down. The commissioners, as Greg said, it's a mixed bag. You can leave one meeting feeling great, and you go to the next meeting, you got punched in the nose. And we are 13 single-member districts. So one district doesn't necessarily care what happens in District 13 and vice versa. So you can see the challenges that's going on. There was a big zoning case that was in the paper last week that the council heard where the homeowners were very much opposed to multifamily, and the city council approved it. So we're reaching out to other homeowner associations too. Okay, this question is about Senate Bill 840. And again, as Greg pointed out, what that allows, that's passed so multifamily can be put in any commercial zoning by right. So it doesn't matter where it is. So this is coming to a neighborhood near you soon. And if you were at the meeting on October 25, the comment was we can build 650 stick frame multifamily units if we don't agree with all of this. We've asked for that site plan to see what that looked like, and they haven't produced it yet. Okay, this is a question about the notification, the circle where we had up on the slide, where the homeowners in that particular area. More will come out on that. Our only way of communicating with you guys is via email. So if you get something from Preserve Preston Hollow or Take Action Preston Hollow, please pay attention to it. And we'll know when those zoning notifications are going to come out, and there'll be a whole team of people that will help figure out that and share with what's going on. Okay, my last question is, what kind of housing development would you support? It seems like you wouldn't support any development at all. Please be specific. Is there a type of the development you would support? So I think we answered that question. All the uses he's proposing are fine. Retail, office, multifamily, restaurant. Personally, I'm not sold on a hotel. But all of those uses, they're fine with us. So the multifamily will fit in great with that. Yes. Yeah.
This is another construction question. Who will assume the liabilities for the residents' foundations in the neighborhood as a result of the underground parking project? And the building department, when they issue the building permit, they would in all likelihood require a bond of the contractor to make sure that they protect the neighbors. But you have to be proactive and make sure that indeed happens. Another question on zoning, is a zoning change changing a Dallas city law? Yes, it is. Zoning is codified in chapter 51A, and so any change to any zoning requires city council approval to change the law.
So the developers said there was a park. That park is probably less than your lot. Okay. That was a driving factor. It means nothing. It means nothing. So that's a giveaway. Also, I think they said they're going to put in 188 trees. I think they're supposed to put in 180. Well, there's some good questions, but I don't know if I should answer those right now. But is there a scenario where the developer lowers the building heights but still greater than 54 feet and the city approves that as a compromise? I don't know. You know, that height zoning that I showed you, the stepping up, you know, that's kind of their compromise after the city input. So we would have to provide a lot of input to make those go down. And, you know, again, the city of Dallas is broke. They want development. And remember those 13 single-member districts? We're one. So where are the tax dollars going to come from? That's why we really need to talk with Gay Willis and get some support on this. So if you can do anything, attend that meeting on May 18th. I think that's really about it. Sure. Yes, the one on Royal and, yeah, I think. Yep. So he's referring to the, Royal Land Tollway, the northwest corner. There was where the temporary fire station was, and I think they zoned it neighborhood service or office or something like that, and it will never be developed. But someone voted in favor of that. Therein lies the problem, right? Well, until it's developed. So I've always said, are you a builder or are you a zoner? And I think this situation is a zoner, and someone else will build it. And who's going to build that at 299 feet? That's a big shoe to find a foot, right? When did Burke acquire the real estate? It's a complicated, what we found out, or what we think is happening, he and some partners own the land underneath the building where Escondido's is. So they own the dirt, A gentleman named Mr. Mitchell, I believe, owned the building. He passed away. His estate sold the building to Burke and his partners. So now they own the land and the building. And somewhere in '24, they did a partnership with Jerry Stuhl to bring all of this into the fold. So the question is, he knew when he bought that this had 54-foot zoning. Pardon me? No. It's been there since 1987 at least. Yeah. Okay. I'll call him. Okay. And the last question here is, what does Burke define as legacy project? We'll ask him on Friday. No, he owns the Hop Dotties down in Preston Center, and I think he zoned that years ago, and it's never been developed. Hi. Okay, the building behind the Hop Dotties. Okay. City of Dallas needs a new police station to serve our growing population. Is there any chance that Leland Burke can give a family a lasting legacy of donating this property to the city for a police station? That's her question. It's a good question, but I don't think we'll hold her breath. Okay, so we'll all be in the room here. If you, Cynthia's got something else to say.
No. Are you sure? Yeah. Oh, goodness. We sincerely thank all of you for being here tonight, for your time, your interest, and your engagement. Thank you for signing our petitions, for placing signs in your yards, and for amplifying this effort among your friends, neighbors, social, and professional networks. This is how communities make a difference, by showing up, staying informed, and speaking with a collective voice. At least 3,000 people are interested in this zoning case. Because of this number, we are communicating through email, as you well know. Therefore, it's important to watch for emails coming from Preserve Preston Hollow. Our coalition members will stay here for a little while to answer any more of your questions. Thank you again, and we will be in touch with you regarding the process. Thank you, guys.